Hey, welcome to this mini lecture. This one's on an introduction to maps. We're going to transport you, the viewer, to 1854, the middle of London, and we're going to work together to solve a mysterious epidemic in London. Pretend you're walking through the middle of London, and you hear a young fellow saying, "Extra, extra! Read all about it." A newspaper boy. A mysterious disease kills 70 people. You listen. You walk by. Next day, you walk by the same newspaper boy. "Extra, extra, read all about it. A mysterious airborne illness kills 130 people." You walk by, you notice that central London's a little bit less crowded. Third day, you walk by. "Extra, extra, read all about it. 70 people dead of a waterborne illness." If that was you and you lived in central London and you had some time, some finances on your side, what might you do? What might you do, friends? I know if it was me, I might think about leaving London, going somewhere nice to the beach or something if I could. Think about that as we go through the rest of the slide deck. I'll come back to that point in a minute. What do you see? What are these things that you see here? They are bar charts. It's a time series where the x-axis along the bottom, left to right, is the dates, and along the y-axis, the top, is the deaths from cholera. The one on the left is just a day-to-day collection of deaths. The one on the right is a cumulative. So as you see here, well, the one on the left, August is pretty quiet. Then in September, there's a really big peak that happens really quickly. It ends really quickly. And as you see on the one on the right, when it accumulates, again, August, nothing, and it quickly increases in early September and sort of tapers off. These are both good and bad. They're good because they describe what the phenomenon under investigation is. They are bad because they don't really explain it. So we're going to go into explanations and how you can explain things better with data. Try to figure out what is the next slide. Try to answer this question in 3, 2, 1. It is a map. It is a map of central London. It is a picture here of Broad Street and the surrounding areas. I'll go through a couple of things, and Dr. John Snow, an epidemiologist in that burgeoning field at the time, he used maps to solve this problem of people dying in central London. A couple of things I might want to focus and have you notice. There's a brewery in the middle, there's in yellow, there's a workhouse in the upper left, that's also in yellow. In the middle, there's a pump on Broad Street, and a number of black rectangles. As you might guess, given that he's looking for cholera deaths, those are dead people. This map is focused on Broad Street, that pump, and his theory at the time was that dirty water, contaminated water, passed cholera. There were thoughts at the time, when again I was talking about the deaths from this virus, whatever was happening at the time. People thought it was airborne release from the ground from people who had died from years past. It's kind of a mysterious thing, in fact wrong. And so Dr. Snow tried to sort of work his way mentally and investigatively through the data, through this map, to figure out. So what he found out was there was a brewery, the yellow structure in the middle. And what he found is he talked to Mr. Huggins, the proprietor, 70 people there that worked there. None of them died. Why do you think a bunch of guys working in a brewery didn't die of water-based cholera? You guessed it. They were drinking beer at the brewery. So if for those of you thinking of, if you're in the middle of a cholera epidemic, drink beer. In the workhouse, there are over 500 people, only 5 deaths, although it was surrounded by a number of people dying. What they found was that the theory was that there was a water pump on premises and people drank from that water pump as opposed to the pump on Broad Street, and then that saved them. Also, besides these number of deaths here, those counter examples of the brewery and workhouse, Dr. Snow also found that on Dufour Place, a little street between the workhouse and the brewery, a couple of kids that lived far, far away, they came into Dufour Place just to learn, and they died from the water, presumably from the pump at Broad Street. Also, an older woman who lived far away, she had water sent to her place from the pump at Broad Street because she liked the taste. And she had it a visitor had it, and they both died. So using these examples and counterexamples, Dr. Snow figured out that, again, it was the pump that was on Broad Street that was a problem. I'm going to go through this idea of aggregating visually displaying data, where Snow makes his quote-unquote watertight case. What you see here are two, again, bar charts, again, time series graphs, but when you aggregate data, it can cause inconsistencies. Again, the x-axis is the dates, the y-axis is deaths from cholera. The one on the left, you see that it's aggregated by week, and the big week is September 1st to 7th. You see the one on the right is September 3 to 9. The one on the left is a little bit less useful than the one on the right. And then this displays what Dr. Snow went to a church council and said, parish council, and said, hey, remove the pump from Broad Street. That is the pump, that is the well that is contaminating people. If you get rid of the pump, people will have their lives saved. That happened on September 8th, 1854. If the one on the left is incorrect, because it takes about 2 days for cholera to sort of get through your system. So if there's a decrease in time, it actually makes more sense on the right, because there's this 2-day lag, where on the 8th, the pump is removed. So the one on the right is a little bit more accurate, because again, it sort of counts for that delay. If you do actually want to be really, really specific, you might want to again go to that daily displaying of deaths. That is by far the most accurate than that you see here. So let's pretend at the time that, you know, there was newspaper coverage, obviously in London, a major world city at the time. If you were a public health reporter, what do you think you would do, and what do you think your story would be if you wanted to catch people's attention and lionize the great Dr. Snow? You might do this. The great Dr. Snow, he went to the parish council, had this great theory of cholera being transmitted by water, selflessly pleaded that September 8th, 1854, to remove the pump, and as a result, central London was saved. The biggest problem since the Black Death of the plague has been stopped. That would be a great headline. And here would be a sort of a potential headline based on that. Snow saves civilians. Clever medical detective work stops cholera. I added a question mark after that, because why do you think cholera transmission and deaths would have stopped? We talked about it before. What was happening in London? What do you think people did who had the means to leave? They left. So as a result, the deaths would have stopped anyway, just because people went, oh my God, so many people dying in central London, I'm out of here. What might be a more responsible headline by a public health reporter would be this: Dr. Snow will eventually save civilians. Clever medical work identifies cholera and water as cause for London health crisis. Because although that Dr. Snow did not help really a lot of people in central London at the time, he did, through his detective work and his use of a map, he was able to advocate that water was in fact the transmission. This, as a final slide, is the John Snow pub right around that Broad Street pump, because the Brits, if anything, they have a great sense of humor. There you have it. That was an introduction to maps solving mysterious epidemic in London 1854. Thanks for watching. See you soon.